see how we would build it. So here the challenge will be doing the ribs, and to do so we have multiple ways to do it. What I will try to show you here is that we can do it by not creating and modeling the ribs themselves, but rather like do the gaps in between and extract them from the shape. This will be done using the Boolean functions that you probably already heard of, and we will see how to make that. So let's jump into Blender. So once again, I will not use reference images within Blender because the shape is simple enough so that we can just focus on how to get the shape and not matching perfectly, because we mainly want to learn the technique here and not have a perfect project. We don't want to spend too much time on it. It's, again, just for you to get the method. So once again, we don't need a cube because we want some kind of a cylindric shape, and we will once again add a cylinder. So you know how to do it. So we take the vertices down to 8. It looks like it's 50 centimeter high, and the radius, let's just see what would look fine. Yeah, I think it's something like that. So this time on this cylinder we will not have to do any symmetry or anything, because basically this will be the main part of the object, like the body, and then we will remove the gaps of it. So let's just put directly subdivision modifier, and boom, look at that, already there. No, so let's just shade it smooth up, and let's add some divisions. So here basically we have almost no curvature, but still a bit, and then we accelerate, go there, and go up again. So let's try to make that. We're almost there already. We just have to do an insert with I. We scale it down, and we can extrude just a bit. And what you can do here is remove the face so that you would have a super sharp edge, and then if we have to build something in between in there, it's not a problem. Let me just add the X-ray, and let's remove the timeline actually. Okay. Yep. Sorry, just small tweaks. We are probably too flat on the top, so let's just take this one down. Let me just add the gizmos. Yeah, the center is bigger actually. Let's just scale it up. Probably something like that. This one should go down a bit. I don't know if we actually need to. We can probably get rid of this one. Dissolve. This goes down. And let's insert to make the bottom. As I was telling you in the previous episode, I like cylinder because you can close them in a nice way. So here, for example, you just select the 2 points there and press J. Same here and here. And basically you have just quads and a nice way to end your shape. Okay, so maybe we will actually just do a bevel to add some more control. You have to search a bit for the nice curvature. This will anyway, this will be something you will have to do if you create something from scratch, just like trying to get the nicer shape, something that you want. Yeah, I feel like we're not so far from there. Yep, just the bottom. Probably scale this down just a bit. Okay. No, actually it's a bit longer. Let's just select those, raise it up. And let's add some more curvature. Again, this is actually the reality of how you do things. Like you just go back and forth and try to see how to get the shape that you want. Whoop. Okay, cool. I think it's not so bad. Let's just take that and super slightly scale it. We can use the precision mode with the shift, as I'm doing right now, to do the scale as well, or to do any other action, even moving, which lets you operate in with way more precision. So let's just scale it just a bit so that nothing is actually flat. And yeah, looks quite alright, I think. We can move on. Here we can see that there is just a slight flat and then the buttons. So let's just scale, like extrude and scale again. And this one we push inside. Then we press F to make a face, and we correct the topology by joining those points together. Okay. We will add a bevel modifier. Above the subdivision, we put weight, you know it now, and this edge will get some bevel. This one as well. Okay, not so bad. Just take this down a bit. Yeah, I think we're not so far. Cool, perfect. So yeah, this is the first step, kind of the easy one. You just have to search the curvature that you precisely want, or you precisely see in the images, but you want something kind of like that. So now it's time to do the other object, which will be the one that will cut the ribs out of the main body. To do so, I will go with a simple cube. So I just add a cube. Be sure that you are in object mode when you add this other object, the cube, because otherwise, I will show you actually. Otherwise, if you're in edit mode and you add a cube, the cube will be part of your object, so it will get the same modifiers, and we won't be able to intersect them as we want to do. So let's not do that, and let's make sure that we are in object mode. Also, here, we want to make the cube way thinner so that it just looks like one rib, and we could do that by just scaling it here. The thing, though, is that then we get those property of the scale here will not be 1, and you will see later on that you want those to always be super simple. So most of the time you want your location to be 0 everywhere, same for the rotation and same for the scale. And so to avoid that we have those weird numbers, we can just go in edit mode and then we tweak it. And once you go back in object mode, everything is clean and nice. And I really encourage you to get this this thing of always modifying the shapes in edit mode and not in object mode. Okay, so we want to do like something like this. How far down do we have to go? Yeah, completely actually. Perfect. It will be even easier for us. How far in? A bit more. Yep. And it tapers out here. We have to put, I know X-ray is already on. So let's bring it there and scale it. Okay. So we have 20 ribs per quarter. So we have 80 ribs in total. So we have to make 80 of these. So when you want to do, the way we will do it is that we'll duplicate this one in a circular way. So for that we will use the array. We already talked about it quickly, and we will need basically 80 of those. But we don't want them to be next to each other, we want them to rotate. And so for that, as we said earlier, we need an empty. So let's take a plane axis, and we want it to have basically the rotation that we will have between two of these ribs. So let's remove this, let's put object offset, let's choose the empty by picking it, and now if you rotate the empty, you will see that the ribs are appearing, but we don't know exactly how much we need, how much rotation we need. And the good thing about Blender is that you can directly input some mathematical expressions, which means that here, if you go in the transform, again, if you don't have this panel, you just have to press N, you can see that the rotation that we want to tweak is this one. And so to input the value, we can just say 360 divided by 80. And boom, we exactly have the number of ribs that we want with the angle that's make it completely circular and perfectly right. So perfect. Now it's time to actually carve the body, or carve the ribs out of the body. Also, maybe we can see that the ribs look completely straight. So we just want them a bit more parallel. So let's check that. Something like that. Also here, let's go in edge selection mode. And let's put some bevel. Let me zoom in. Let's just add some more bevel. I will add some more segments this time. Okay, perfect. And so now it's time for the boolean. So basically, the boolean will take it will be a modifier on our main body and will remove those gaps. So you have to apply it on the body, not on the ribs. And you go in modifiers, boolean, and then you pick which object you want to do it with. In this case, the cube. And let's pick it and wait. Okay, perfect. And now let's hide the cube in our outliner. And you can see that overall it works. The thing though is that we have some problems there in the normals. You can fix that by going here in auto smooth. Basically, the auto smooth will not try to smooth everything out with the shade smooth settings things we did earlier, but it will try to see at which angle it has to be considered as sharp and which angle it should be considered as smooth. So this will do it right here, and we will get way nicer reflections. So it's already a good start. One thing though is that the ribs are going all the way in, which we don't really want. So let's just check how it is in real life. Yeah, it seems that there is just a thickness. So we will here duplicate, oops, Shift D, duplicate our body. It takes a bit of time because of the boolean, but no stress. And we right click because we don't want to move it. And here we remove first the boolean and then the bevel because we don't really care about this. We can remove here all of these points, make a face again, join the points together. Okay, and then select everything, and basically we will remove this from the other object. And you could just scale it down like this, but there is another way to do it, which is Alt S, and this basically unscale or shrinks down, let's say, more than just unscaling, and it's pretty cool. So it's exactly what we need here, and you can just make it so that it looks like this thickness is exactly what we want. Yeah, perfect. So now that we have that, we can go in the other object and add another boolean, this time with the other cylinder. So a good thing to do with this is actually to name everything. So this will be the, let's say, bool and inside, oops, inside, this will be the bool ribs, this will be the main body, or yeah, main body. Okay, this is cleaner. So now we can just pick the boolean of inside. And we can also hide it so that we just have what we want to see. This looks pretty nice actually. Oop. I'm pretty happy with that, and it's kind of what we wanted. Yeah, cool, great. Okay, so we have most of the shape. Now what we want to do is these surfaces here. as well as the top part. Yeah, let's just do that. So we will actually duplicate this one. It will be easier because it doesn't have as many modifiers. So Shift D. And now we right click to leave it there. We hide the other one and we go to change the name. We call it inside body. And here we can remove all of these points, all of these ones as well. Perfect. And just slide things up, scale down, slide things up, scale down again. And as you can see, there is this fading effect, but we can easily do it just by the intersection of our two objects. So let's just take this one, let's scale it up until we get there. Cool. One thing you can do to better see your model is to hide the overlays, which will hide the grid and everything. And it's better to appreciate what you're working on sometimes. So let's just scale it, this one up, this one down a bit. There, it looks like there is some more acceleration in this thing. Actually, no. No, we're not so far from it. And down there it's a bit shorter though. So let's just shorten it up. Okay, cool. What do you think? Looks alright, right? Actually, now we can see that it looks quite empty, even though on this render there is absolutely nothing there. I think it would be good to add this cylinder inside of there, as well as the filter in the purifier. So let's just do that quickly. For this, it's just object mode work. Let's put this guy with subdivision. We remove the face on top so that the subdivision doesn't soften the top, doesn't smooth it out. Same here, shade smooth. We go in edit mode to scale, not in object mode. And since we will never see the inside of it, you don't care if it's not closed there. We just want something to appear as there is something inside. And same there. So we can just duplicate this one basically. Shift D, select everything, go down, scale up. Yeah, it looks fairly good actually. And yeah, most of it is already there. We will probably need some cheating to do the renders. Like for example, we could put completely blacked out cylinder inside of this, so that it will appear like there is some stuff and we don't really know, the light is not going there, but actually it's just because we would cheat. But for now it's good enough, and at least you understand the principle of the booleans and the principle of circular arrays, which is the point of this episode. What I want to do now is to add the buttons on the top, but this time I don't want to necessarily use booleans everywhere, because boolean is taking quite a lot of computation power, and we can do those ones, just the circular ones, quite easily because it's following the shape and the topology that we already have. So we will do those just simply, and then we will extract this for button as a separate object that we will then cut with booleans. So let's just do that. So here we go in edit mode and we add an edge loop here in the middle, and we will just do a Control B for a bevel and open it just like that. When this is done, you extrude a bit, a bit more actually. And we can remove faces, which will, sorry, I'm just going back to object mode to show you, but with the booleans and the record, takes a bit of time. Though this is because they changed the algorithm of booleans, and I didn't like to use booleans because it was so imprecise, but this one is way better. So yeah, it's a good trade-off in the end. Yeah, so as you can see, we have our nice a nice cut there, and I think it's enough. We can also add some bevel weight there so that we have a sharper edge. Let's actually do that. Let's remove the center one as well, and then we'll be able to work on these independently of the other booleans, so it will be easier. We will actually follow. No, first thing, sorry, is to add the bevel weight here. Yep. Same for the other one. Perfect. The good thing is here that we will be able to use the existing topology. So for the buttons, as you can see, it's a bit smaller. So let's just make it a bit smaller. We don't see much, so I would switch in wireframe mode because I just want to have an idea of the proportions and not the surfaces themselves. Yeah, probably closer to that. Okay, perfect. So now let's do a Control B, super small as the previous one. And now we can extrude in, remove the faces, and select the edges around to add some bevel weight. Same here. Switch back to object mode. Nice. Okay, so now the goal will be to extract just this part and to do the 4 last cuts, and then we'll be done. So let's just jump back in edit mode, and the way to do that is basically that you select the all element. Since it's not linked to anything anymore, it will just select this ring, and now you can do P for separate, and you press selection. So now these buttons are another object, completely different object. So we go back to object mode, select just this one. We will call it actually main buttons, and we can remove the 2 booleans modifiers in there because we don't need them basically. Boom, boom. And instead we'll add another boolean, but for that we need another object to help us cut those buttons. So let's just do that. We can do it with a cube as we did before. So Shift A, Mesh, Cube. Again, we just scale it in edit mode, not in object mode. So here we can scale it with the gizmo, probably even more. Something like that. Duplicate the geometry in edit mode. So Shift D, right click to leave it in the original position, and R for rotation and 90°. You can just input values by writing them down while you're doing it. So if I want 10° of rotation, I do R and press 10 then. But so here it's 90°, so we have this cross. Let's just take it higher in edit mode still. And let's call that bool and buttons. Should be enough to understand what it is. And keep a clean file, and we hide it. And so here we add the boolean modifier, and we search for bool buttons. Wow, look at that. Perfect. So, quite cool, no? We can also not show the empty, not display the overlays, and we have our object. To conclude, in this episode we saw the basic mechanics of the booleans, which you can use in a lot of different aspects, but I know that if you're doing some product design, you probably want this kind of ribs or parametric kind of look, and boolean is quite a good way to access to that. And also we saw how to manage a circular array, which is pretty useful in some specific cases, and we also saw some mechanics like how to separate object from one main object, and also the fact that you can just intersect things together and it won't look wrong. We can especially see that if you disable the outline here, you can see that things are blending together. So yeah, I hope you like this episode, and in the next one we will talk about how to keep your files clean before we jump on the 2 other kind of bigger modeling episode. So see you in the next episode.